To the woman at the well, Jesus said, salvation is of the Jews. To us, to all the world, in the last days, in this day, today, Jesus says, salvation is of the Native Americans. Salvation is of the Navajos. And the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Greetings, my name is Kelly Knighty, and I've lived in this area for 20 years. I've had various jobs here on the Navajo Nation, including as a statistician at the hospital in Fort Defiance. And I currently live near Gala in Camargo, New Mexico, with my wife and family. And I have to tell you that when I first came here in 2004, I had a job for the Department of Education as an analyst. And we used to have these big meetings where a lot of people would gather. And before the meeting would begin, there'd always be a Navajo man or woman that would stand up and give a prayer in the Navajo language. I appreciated that. To this day, the bulk of me listening to the Navajo language in the 20 years I've been here has been in prayer. And I appreciate the good example that you've all set for me. There is, however, one belief that is crept into the Navajo culture that your ancestors would not believe, did not believe. And that is that we should all celebrate our differences. In the book of Revelation, John describes the New Jerusalem and the righteous who dwell there. And it describes them as seeing eye to eye. It describes them as seeing as they are seen, and knowing each other as they are known. And that Zion would be of one heart and one mind. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Another way of saying that is, I am the only way, the truth, and the life. To say that we should celebrate our differences is like saying, let's celebrate our divisiveness. I say that because this book will offend many. This book is called the Book of the Remnant. And it contains the true points of the doctrine of Christ, so that you may come unto him and know how to come unto him and be saved. It's written by Yahya. That's his Navajo name. Yahya died last year in July in Fort Defiance at the age of 70. But he wrote all of his life. He had revelations. And he wrote for you. He wrote to you, to his people. You know, this book is free to those who will read and explore its content. It's about 1,000 pages. The word count of this book is just shy of the word count of the entire Old Testament. And it's written by one man. And it's written to you. It's written for you. I have to say that I represent no church. I represent no establishment. And this book represents no church. Quite the contrary. Quite the contrary to the established churches and religions of today. As you may know, maybe as all of you know, you are of the house of Israel. What does that mean? That means you are of the family of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, who had 12 sons who we call tribes. The Jews are from the tribe of Judah. You are from the tribe of Joseph of Egypt. From the record, from the scriptures, no salvation exists outside the house of Israel. Joseph of Egypt was a special person. Who was he really, though? Because it describes who you are. Joseph was hated by his brothers. He was bound and cast into a pit. He was fished out of that pit and sold as a slave into Egypt. After many years of being a slave, he was falsely accused and imprisoned. Does that not sound like the history of this people? But then he was released from prison. He interpreted the Pharaoh's dream. And in about 2 days, he was elevated to become the ruler of Egypt. But more important than that, because of his interpreting the Pharaoh's dream correctly, he saved from famine all of his brothers. He saved the other tribes of Israel. He saved his father, Jacob, and he saved all of Egypt. What does that say about the future of this people? Joseph of Egypt has an ancient prophecy where he prophesies about the last days. And he says that out of the fruit of his loins would come a choice seer. And the Lord describes to Joseph of Egypt, the Lord says that this choice seer, this Indian prophet, that he would write the words of the fruit of thy loins unto the fruit of thy loins. And then this prophecy culminates by him saying, and that thing that he shall bring forth by the power of the Lord shall bring my people unto salvation. That thing that he shall bring forth by the power of the Lord shall by the power of the Lord bring my people unto salvation. And then as if to add an next exclamation point, he says, yea, I am sure of the fulfilling of this prophecy. I am sure of the fulfilling of this prophecy. He says it twice. Father Lehi, when talking about this prophecy to his righteous son, he says, lift up your head and rejoice, for thy seed shall not utterly be destroyed, for they shall hearken. They shall hearken unto the words of the book. I want to testify and witness to you. After spending 20 years with this man and knowing who he is, that book that Father Lehi talks about and that Joseph of Egypt mentions his writings is the book of the Remnant. And that person that Joseph of Egypt prophesied of in his prophecy is Yahweh. All of this is true. I want you to know again, this is a free book to those who will read and explore its contents. And I have no other motive for being here, no other desire, but the welfare of the ancient and long dispersed covenant people of the Lord, who you are. I know this. It's more important for you to read this book than for you to read the Holy Bible. Salvation is of the Native Americans. The Bible is the book of the Jews. And it's important to read that book. But it's more important for you to read the book of the prophets of your people. I have a carload of books out there. And if you're willing to read and explore its contents, I have a book for you.